Rip Doctor Who is trending on Twitter again, and I'm going to be honest, this will probably be the last time, at least for a good while, that I cover Doctor Who. With the new series not actually starting up until May, and it being on Disney+, there will probably be a lot to talk about in the next 5 months, but until then, let's just get it over with in this final article that was so brilliantly titled, "The First Black Doctor Who Can't Be a Colorblind Role." They are going so far into this that you cannot accept the Doctor for who he is as a person. You gotta focus on the skin color first, because that is all that matters in today's day and age. When you see things like Rip Doctor Who trending on Twitter, it's not because people are angry that there's a black doctor, it's that they're angry that there's so many identity-driven methodologies and mentalities in today's media. And frankly, if you were a longtime fan of this series, I really can't blame you. As somebody that watched Star Wars, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and a bunch of other franchises that I adore get ruined with identity politics, it's no wonder that longtime fans are speaking up and decrying, "We are done with this. It doesn't even matter if the actor himself is good at the role," because that's not what anyone in the media or anyone that's a modern day fan is going to focus on. So welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and we're going to get into this article. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. We are on our way to some big subscriber numbers in 2024, and we did a great job in 2023. I truly appreciate it, and the only way we're going to have freedom of thought back in nerd culture, freedom of real diversity back in nerd culture, is by channels like mine. So support me and others like me as we get into this. The first black Doctor Who can't be a colorblind role. 4 wishes for Ripdoctorwho as the Time Lord. And you know what? Again, I got nothing against this dude. Now, I do think that he goes on to say some ridiculous things. We've all heard him say some just inane things, such as he grew up in a left liberal bubble, and that's certainly going to be reflected in the modern Doctor Who. But let's give the benefit of the doubt, because, you know, I've got some friends who are into Doctor Who. I don't like Doctor Who. I've made it very clear on my channel that I've never liked Doctor Who, but I do respect Doctor Who for what it's done for nerd culture. That being said, I got some buddies who are massive Doctor Who fans, namely Golden Age Geek and Will of the Fans. Both of them, I'm pretty sure, had about the same consensus. In theory, Ncuti was fine. They could see elements that would make a good Doctor, however, those elements are very few and far between. But let's look and see what this article has to say. The Doctor we viewers meet as a hero of the latest Doctor Who Christmas special is unlike any other we've met in the 60-year history of the character. He's suave in a non-geeky way. He can command a dance floor. He can actually sing. And he's a black man, because remember, you gotta put that in the opening sentiments. He's a black man. His skin color matters. It's not what's on the inside that counts. It's not what the Doctor as a whole for multiple generations have done for viewers the world over, or what the Doctor's core belief systems are that make him a good person. You gotta focus on he's a black man, because if you didn't notice by looking at him, he's a black man. After watching Ripdoctorwho's impressive debut as the first black male incarnation of the Time Lord hero at the center of the BBC's venerated science fiction franchise, yes, you gotta admit, he's the first black male incarnation, because apparently the Timeless Children made sure that you knew the first Doctor was actually, like the original, very first Doctor, was a black female. So I'm surprised they're actually taking a step back and going with a little bit less diversity, because you know on the diversity hierarchy, black male is notably lower than black female. You probably got some, some alphabet folk in between there. This black TV male critic is fascinated and hopeful at the possibilities that lie ahead. Imagine being that. This black male TV critic is fascinated and hopeful at the possibilities that lie ahead. Imagine your identity being so tied to an immutable characteristic like the color of skin you're born with. I could not imagine introducing myself as Leon, the white internet critic here to tell you about all this cultural significance of what's going on in the world, and you should take my word for it on account of my whiteness. That would come off pretty weird. It comes off just as weird in an article like this from IndieWire. Bruh, I got no problem with you being black. I do have a problem with you wanting to parade your blackness around as if that's something that matters, because it doesn't. The whole idea that I grew up with was that being colorblind was a good thing. Anyone who grew up in the 90s, probably people who grew up before then, but if you grew up in the 90s and mid-2000s, the whole idea was to not judge people based on their skin color. You wanted to be colorblind. So when you see an article stating Doctor Who can't be a colorblind role, that spits in the face of everything that so many of these timeless stories that from the 90s, mid-2000s have taught us growing up. From every after-school special about not judging people based on race and about instead the content of their character, like MLK said. But no, now we have people actively calling for judging people based on the color of their skin, as if that's a good thing. I've also got a few other fervent hopes, deep wishes that have been rolling around in my mind ever since I first stumbled on the Doctor as a fan in my childhood, watching Tom Baker as the fourth Doctor ambling about like a shock-haired, spacefaring, time-traveling version of Gene Wilder in reruns which aired on Chicago's public television station way back in the mid to late 70s. So let's take this guy at his word. Let's assume he's being truthful. Let's assume he's being honest. He's been a long-time Doctor Who fan. I mean, the 70s. That is about 50 years now. Sorry for those of you I just made feel old with that. But he has clearly been a fan of Doctor Who for a long time if we're to take him at his word. Clearly, he didn't have to identify with the character's skin color in any other incarnation over the last 50 years. Why now? Why at this point in time, in 2023, is it all of a sudden so important that Doctor Who is black? Why do you care about the Doctor's skin color if you already identify with the character for the last 5 decades, give or take? When he wasn't a black guy, you're looking for something to put into some sort of diverse, identity-driven division article because you know it's going to stoke the rage bait, it's going to get clicks, and it's something that I'm so tired of seeing. I mean, look at the list he has here. Wish number 1, don't shy away from the Doctor's blackness. Why? What does his skin color have to do with him saving alien races and being a good person? Now, again, I know that you're not going to see a lot of good things from modern Doctor Who. I've talked to my friends that are Whovians. I've heard how the Chibnall era destroyed Doctor Who and how the new specials really haven't done anything to help better the brand. There's been, Doctor Who has been on the downside for a long time. But in theory, in a perfect world, why should we care about, whether or not it shies away from the Doctor's blackness instead of all the other, like I said earlier, characteristics about his core person, his inside, his spirit, the things that actually matter when writing a compelling character? Do you know how many people when Star Wars came out, the recent sequel trilogy, were so upset at the treatment of Finn? We weren't upset that Finn got shafted because how dare Disney shaft the black guy. We were upset that he was shafted because he was built up to have so much potential and be a genuinely cool character. If there was any, don't get me wrong, the sequel trilogy made a bunch of mistakes. It destroyed what Star Wars is and honestly probably forever will be, minus a full reboot with an entirely new company. But the most egregious thing they did was take Finn and shove him in the background when he genuinely started off with so much potential in The Force Awakens. It's tough to describe the thrill I felt listening to the opening lines of Gatwa's first episode, hearing a voice with an accent that I felt a seamless fusion of his journey as an African-born, Scotland-raised actor. There it is again, focusing on being African-born instead of his craft as an actor. Did he deliver the lines well? Did he follow direction? But now, you gotta focus on the African-born part. I just care if this person's good at their job. Call me crazy. But I just want someone to be good at their job and not give a damn where they were born or what their skin color is. But that is considered racist nowadays. Being colorblind is considered racist nowadays, especially by individuals like this right here. Finally, a hero who looks and feels more like me than any Doctor I've seen before. What has he done? What in the one Christmas episode that he's been in has he done to make him feel more like you? Like did you actually get a Doctor that you could identify with in one single episode more than any other run in the past 50 years in which you claim to be a fan? And the article is full of crap like this. That's why you got Twitter, you got people, Rip Doctor Who is trending. The Christmas special was 3 days ago. This is still trending. Why is this trending? I don't know. I'm not a Doctor Who fan. Why do I see Rip Doctor Who trending in my algorithm when I have never once given a damn about Doctor Who? I've done maybe 2 or 3 videos since starting my channel about the matter of Doctor Who because, again, now news comes up. I'm a nerdy news channel, and I do want to cover things that I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about seeing fan bases of nerdy IPs, have their hearts broken time and time again. But yeah, I see Rip Doctor Who trending. And then when I see stuff like this, it all makes sense. Which Doctor Who episode would have been improved by a sex scene? I mean, what? Isn't this a family-oriented children's show? Then you got Captain Whitebeard here saying, these are the fans BBC and Disney want. Absolutely they are. And you know how I know? Because these are the fans that Wizards of the Coast want. These are the fans that WotC wants from Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. That's why they made it so clear about how important all the sexual deviancy in modern D&D is, or how you need to know the sexual identity of every single new Magic the Gathering planeswalker, because all they care about is this frivolous sexual gratification from these fictional worlds in a manner that's honestly quite disturbing. Or what about this one right here? Doctor Who actress Millie Gibson confirms viewers will be put off by new Doctor Who as the show aims to court Gen Z viewers. That's the worst mistake you could possibly be making. Gen Z viewers have got some of the worst attention spans of any viewers I've seen in real life. I mean, look, I don't court my videos towards Gen Z viewers because if I did that, I'd be on TikTok, not making long-form content on YouTube. Yeah, the common nerd, good man, subscribe to him on Rumble because YouTube nuked him, says Color Rush shocked. Careful, common nerd, you can't be using color when talking about new Doctor Who. They're going to accuse you of being racist. They're going to think that's an attack at ripdoctorwho. But in all reality, why would you want to be put off? Why would you want your existing fan base that's been around for since the 60s, I believe? Didn't Doctor Who come out in the 60s? You got individuals like the author we were just reading about who said he's been watching this show since the 70s, so again, about 50 years worth of history. Are you wanting viewers like him to be turned off because he's not a Gen Z viewer? What is your end goal by alienating your longtime fans, the individuals that likely have money due to the fact that they've been well established in the modern age and aren't actually suffering from any of the modern economic problems that young people are following? So these are the people that could go out and buy the merch and whatnot, but I mean, that's just my thought process. But even if they're wanting to court Gen Z viewers, they're doing an awful job of that, because look at this headline right here. The King's Message beats ripdoctorwho's Doctor Who debut to top UK Christmas Day ratings. Watch the address. So if they are wanting to court Gen Z viewers, they clearly are failing, considering you've got an old white guy that nobody has any respect for getting more ratings than the Doctor Who Christmas special. In fact, the Doctor Who Christmas special came in 3rd place, while King Charles III's Christmas Day message topped ripdoctorwho's debut in Doctor Who, dominating the UK ratings charts on December 25th. The King's Christmas broadcast, which is the monarch's annual address to the British people, because, the British people, or the rest of the world, cares so much what some powerless dude has to say, who just feigns like he has some sense of moral responsibility when we all know the monarchy is dead and they're not the ones running the show, took over 6.5 million viewers, according to official data from overnights.tv. The bulk of the viewing, 5.2 million, was on BBC One, with BBC Two having 572,000, ITV, ITV3, Sky News, including viewing across the day. The total was around 7.5 million, basically, is the gist of it, about 7.5 million. Combined, the live viewing total was more than a Strictly Come Dancing Christmas special, which was the second with 5.4 million on BBC One, and then the heavily anticipated Doctor Who special. They're being very liberal with heavily anticipated here, but I mean, it's a deadline, what do you expect? But the point is, I don't even know what Strictly Come Dancing is. Let's be real. I'm sure Doctor Who, as an icon, as something generational, has a far, far larger audience than Strictly Come Dancing. You might have to let me know in the comments down below what Strictly Come Dancing even is, but if I had to guess, as an IP, as an intellectual property, there's probably a lot more love and care for Doctor Who as a whole. But whatever Strictly Come Dancing was, completely dominated the Doctor Who Christmas special, which only got 4.5 million viewers. So whatever this monstrosity is that no one cares about, and then some old white dude, as much as you guys seem to hate old white guys, apparently he's getting better viewing numbers than the new hip Gen Z targeted ripdoctorwho Doctor Who. There's no winning on any front, whether it be from the journalists here who claim things like you've got to embrace the blackness, to the actual people watching the show, to pissed off fans on X talking about Rip Doctor Who and keeping it trending 3 days after the special has aired. Like I said, I'm not a Doctor Who fan. I'm not going to pretend to be a Doctor Who fan. If anything, I do find this funny, but I know I wouldn't be finding it funny if it was happening to something that I loved or cared about. Or you know what? At this point, maybe I would. Maybe I would. If this started happening to Pokemon, if we started seeing, such identity-driven politics and nonsense in Pokemon, if we started to see Nintendo come out and talk about how fairy Pokemon were an allegory to the LGBT agenda, I'd be like, I gotta laugh at this point. There's no fixing it. It's beyond saving. So you gotta kick back and just have a giggle. Frankly, I wouldn't stay like that for long because I feel like all of nerd culture is worth saving and worth fighting for, even the stuff you don't like. I don't like Doctor Who. I've never liked Doctor Who, and frankly, I will never enjoy Doctor Who. But I do want to fight for it to see it fixed because I would want someone to do the same for me with things like Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, Star Wars, Marvel Comics, and any of the other nerdy endeavors that I'm into. But at the end of the day, no one cares about Doctor Who, or at least a very small select minority do, and they were not real Doctor Who fans to begin with, as can be told by the abysmal ratings and what the current showrunners are talking about in reference to how they are making the show going forward. It's not for Who fans, it's not for you, it's for sexually confused 13-year-olds that are being transformed into people that use litter boxes in schools because they don't know what their real identity is. That's got to be the type of individual the new Who is for. But that's just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at BoltTheWord. And please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Again, not always about Doctor Who. In fact, this will probably be my last Doctor Who video for quite a while. But anything in the nerdosphere, whether it be anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it, it's all here in the nerdosphere. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon. And this has been Words of Paradise.